Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously fascinating philosophy, and it's called the science of hope. We're going to look at how to actively realize our deepest aspirations. And here's the kicker. It's not just by grinding away on the outside, but by fundamentally rewiring the narrative on the inside. We're talking about turning hope from a passive wish into a deliberate, actionable science.
So let's dive right into this with a question that, honestly, might feel a little uncomfortable. Why is it that, despite our absolute best conscious efforts to succeed, our deeper mind so often anticipates failure? I mean, have you ever noticed that right when things are about to go well, a little voice inside whispers that it's all gonna fall apart? Yeah, we've all been there. This actually happens because our minds are so often tethered to past patterns and these deeply ingrained habits of self-doubt.
To really understand this, we need to look at the tension between our two minds. On the surface, we have our conscious desires. This is what we tell our friends, our family, and ourselves that we want to achieve. But lurking right beneath that surface lies the subconscious expectation. These are our hidden fears, our past rejections, our quiet anticipation of failure. And here's the scary part. When these two are misaligned, the subconscious almost always wins out.
Here is our blueprint for today's explainer. First, untying the subconscious trap. Then, Method 1, the power of words. Method 2, the power of thought. Method 3, continuous image. And finally, checking desires, love, and growth. All right, Section 1, untying the subconscious trap.
So deep down, many hold an inclination toward failure. The source material points out something really interesting here. Even people who are on a massive successful streak often have this deep-seated habit of expecting things to go wrong at the very last minute. They subconsciously expect the rug to be pulled out from under them simply because that is the emotional pattern they are used to. Crazy, right?
The text actually gives us this brilliant metaphor of the subconscious as a highly obedient driver. Think about it. If you consciously say go right, but your subconscious fear immediately yells go left, your driver's going to panic. You just end up spinning your wheels, totally exhausted, but stuck in the exact same place. You literally can't reach your destination if your internal chauffeur is getting contradictory directions every 5 seconds.
So, to fix this bad driving and finally retrain our internal chauffeur, the source material provides a really structured toolkit. We are going to look at 3 very specific methods of realization: the power of words, the power of concentrated thought, and the power of a continuous visual image.
Which brings us to Section 2, Method 1, the power of words.
The very first step to rewriting your subconscious is utilizing the power of positive words. It is all about breaking that toxic habit of self-deprecation. The author argues that you absolutely must consciously speak positive, affirmative words. Why? Well, because the words you speak enter your own ears and literally program your mind. If you are constantly verbalizing your doubts, you're just feeding that obedient driver bad directions.
Think of this ancient proverb referenced in the text. The romance of a grumbler never bears fruit. Murmuring negativity and complaining about your circumstances essentially guarantees failure. On the flip side, deliberately speaking words of success and affirmation builds a solid habit of prosperity within your mind. Your words are literally the very first seeds you plant in this whole process.
Okay, Section 3, Method 2, the power of thought.
This brings us to a really profound concept. Concentrated human thought isn't just some abstract, fleeting thing. It actually has physical power. The author suggests that when you concentrate your thoughts intensely on a single point, it acts almost like a magnet or a physical force, actually drawing the phenomena you desire closer to you in the real world.
To visualize this, the author uses a fantastic analogy. I want you to think of your focused thought like throwing a rope around your goal. Once that rope is secured, you pull it towards you, hand over hand, with relentless focus. If your thoughts are all scattered, the rope goes slack. But with intense, unified concentration, you actually pull your target from the realm of imagination straight into reality.
Moving on to Section 4, Method 3, continuous image. Visualizing a clear, continuous image is absolutely vital. While words and concentrated thoughts start the engine, a sustained, vivid vision gives your subconscious a definitive, long-term direction to run toward. Your subconscious responds incredibly well to imagery. So if your mental image is fuzzy or, constantly shifting around, your results are going to be fuzzy and shifting too.
If you can clearly picture your goal in your mind's eye, as if it is already a reality, your chances of success absolutely skyrocket. And why is that? Because your internal map is perfectly drawn. You've finally given that obedient driver from earlier a high-definition GPS coordinate, making it way harder for your old, negative habits to drive you right off a cliff. And that brings us to Section 5,
checking desires, love, and growth.
Now, this is a truly critical step in the science of hope. Before finalizing your goals and applying all this immense mental power, the author insists you have to pass them through 3 vital checkpoints of love and growth. You literally have to stop and ask yourself, does this goal harm others? Is it rooted in a genuine, altruistic love for others, or is it just feeding my own ego? And finally, does achieving this actually enrich my character and my spirituality?
There is a pretty stark warning embedded in this philosophy. Success driven purely by self-preservation, vanity, or arrogance, it actually lowers your character. Sure, it might bring you some short-term gains, but it destroys your spiritual worth over time. True success, according to this text, must serve as a foundation for spiritual enrichment. It needs to become a genuine blessing to humanity.
The reason for this ethical check is actually really simple. The universe operates strictly on the law of action and reaction, or cause and effect. If you use this powerful framework of words, thoughts, and images to plant malicious or deeply selfish seeds, you are inevitably going to have to reap that toxic harvest. You simply cannot trick the fundamental rules of cause and effect. No way around it.
But to be absolutely clear here, this philosophy doesn't view ambition or material success as a bad thing at all. Money and material abundance are inherently neutral, right? They're basically colorless and transparent. It is your underlying motive and your application of altruism that define whether wealth is good or bad. Earning money to uplift others and expand your positive impact, that is seen as a highly noble pursuit.
So, I want to leave you with this. Look at the biggest, most ambitious goal you have right now. Does it truly pass the love and growth filter? Because if it does, you now have the exact tools you need to make it a reality. Stop letting old habits drive you off a cliff. Take the wheel and start giving your subconscious some better directions today. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.